we maybe thought before the season began, Claibs, that this would be a team that would be looking to sell off some of their short-term contracts, guys like Ryan Helsley, for example. But right now, is it the same read for you that it would be difficult to imagine the Cardinals going in that direction with all the momentum that they have, at least right now, a month away from the deadline?
I would. I really do. I think with the way they're playing and the consistency, they need these guys. Now if you want to make a space for McGreevy and move a pitcher, I can see that. The one thing the Cardinals have been pretty lucky about is the fact that they haven't had a lot of injuries. You think about Herrera and Jordan Walker; those are the only two guys that have been down for an extended period of time. So when you look at how this team and the chemistry works, to make a move to sell off a very important asset, man, it sends a concerning message. Let's just put it that way. If you're a fan and you say, all right, I'm just now starting to really like this team, I'm going to come to the ballpark more. I'm going to do the things that you would hope that I would do in order to support. And then you start moving players that are key cogs to your success. I'm not sure what kind of message that sends to the fans, because the player you're getting in return is probably more of a prospect than a guy that's going to be an everyday player. So when you have that scenario, that's some real thin ice you're skating on.
It definitely would be. Another aspect of that, you say, well, the fans, they're buying in, and that would be a tough message to send. I mean, how about the clubhouse? You remember a couple of years ago, I believe it was 22, when the Brewers traded away Josh Hader because they said, well, we've got Devin Williams. We can take advantage of a guy that we're not going to re-sign and really get some value for him. What happened in that clubhouse was something that opened the door for the Cardinals to be able to win the division that year.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And if you don't have your finger on the pulse of your clubhouse, and if you think this is going to be good for everybody and you don't have a finger on it, man, you're asking for trouble, because then the players go in a different direction. It puts a manager in a very awkward spot. And again, the fan pressure today, because of all the information that's available to fans, and they just get a small percentage of what's really out there. But when they feel like they're part of this and you pull the rug out from under them, it's a little bit of a challenge, and it doesn't go down well a lot of times.
That's a very good point. I want to ask you a little bit more about the rotation, because there are some Cardinals fans right now who are frustrated with sort of the back end of that group. You're seeing on occasion some less quality outings from the likes of Michaelis, from Eric Fetty, and from Palante, who the Cardinals are looking for to battle against Paul Skeens tomorrow. What's your interpretation in general of what they've gotten from this rotation this year? Because while there is some fan frustration, I look at it and say, with the starting five you've had, they've been healthy. They're kind of middle of the pack in terms of statistics in the league, and that's not really any better or worse than I would have expected coming in, and that's considering the fact they've had no injuries. How do you view that rotation compared to maybe how some fans have viewed it, Claibs?
Well, all three of those pitchers you mentioned have had really, really good nights. Betty had a complete game shutout. Palante gives you 7 innings most of the time. Miles Michaelis has been better. But you think of those guys, all as back-end guys, and that's why they're back-end guys, because of the inconsistency. They've had more good nights than they've had bad, but when they have a bad one, man, it's one that they really, truly wear. And that's where I think you kind of look at yourself and say, okay, where can we be better? Is there someone else out there that can make us better? Do we give McGreevy a little bit more runway to play with? So you have those scenarios in play, and you say to yourself, all right, at whose expense? All right, you're already paying Michaelis for the rest of the year. Betty has a contract that's friendly to somebody who wants an addition. But my question is, does Fetty make somebody else's team better than yours? And then there's Palante, a guy you think can be a consistent guy in your rotation. He's getting better. You would like to see a little bit more consistency. But when he gets the ball and he's right, he can give you 7 innings. And you can't say that about a lot of guys these days.
No doubt about that. And the Cardinals will be looking to get whatever they can from that rotation here this week as they head to Pittsburgh, riding after that 3-game sweep of the Guardians, having won 5 of their last 7 over the previous 2 series after splitting with the Cubs back at Busch. Eric Fetty takes the mound tonight for the Cardinals, 3-7 with a 4.11 ERA. He'll oppose a lefty, Andrew Heaney, who is 3-7 as well, with a 4.48. How do you view what we've seen, Claibs, from the Cardinal lineup against lefties recently? Because obviously
It hasn't been good.
against the Cubs, that was rough, but at least
Yeah.
Gorman got the swing against Logan Allen yesterday.
Yeah.
Here comes another one.
And I thought Allen pitched reasonably well. He just got his pitch count up. But up until then, man, the lefties have really had their way with the Cardinals. And, it's always been that way, though. For some reason, you can go back in time and you can look and see what Cardinal teams that are better than this one, what they dealt against left-handed. So in that case, you just got to just keep hacking. I think one of the things that they get in trouble with, maybe a little overzealous as far as their swing is concerned. Lefties normally don't throw as hard, and you have a lefty today and then you got Skeens tomorrow. That's like night and day, but the irony is, don't they have the same record, Haney and Skeens?
I mean, Paul Skeens has pitched very well, obviously, but you need that Pirates offense to be able to back you up if you're Paul Skeens, and that just hasn't happened to quite the extent. He's 4-7. The ERA is about half of what Andrew Heaney's ERA is.
Yeah, and that's a good indicator right there, the run support or lack of. And when you see good pitchers, man, it normally works that way. They face normally the other team's good pitcher. And in that case, the runs are going to be hard to come by. You almost feel like you have to go pitch a shutout every time you go out. But in his case, in Haney's case, I think he's had 2 seasons where he had an above 500 record. So I think he is what he is. And I think the Cardinals probably have to be aggressively patient, if that makes any sense, where you want to look early, but you don't want to swing at his pitch. Now, the question is, what is his pitch these days? When you have an ERA that high, it appears you don't have one. So you have to make sure you're swinging at strikes. You have to make sure you get in a hitter's count. And you have to make sure you keep the ball out of the air. You got to hit line drives. Cardinals against, Chicago? They had 10 fly ball outs to right field, against a lefty. So those things happen. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they fare tonight, because I think they may have had this figured out.
And we'll get into a little conversation coming up about what the lineup could potentially look like. Obviously, the Cardinals stocked with a bunch of left-handed bats, and we'll see how many of those end up opposing Andrew Heaney today. But before we get to that, I want to let you know that now is as good of a time as any to sign up for DraftKings Pick 6, the app where you're able to take your player takes and opinions and try to win some cash out of it by picking higher or lower on the various player stats across multiple sports. There's still PGA golf going on in addition to baseball and so much more on the DraftKings Pick 6 app. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits, better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.